everybody, it's Teresa. Welcome to my channel. I've been playing with my new bargain bead box today, the Art Deco Luxe collection. And I'm going to try to make a necklace here and a pair of earrings. In case you're not familiar, the bargain bead box is a monthly subscription of beads and findings. It's $19.49 a month, and that includes shipping in the United States. They have beautiful beads and findings. It's always curated around a different theme each month, and if you're a subscriber to the bargain bead box, you get a 30% off coupon to use in their sister store, Bead Box Bargains, and you can use it as many times as you want to during the month, and they already have great prices. I have a coupon code. It's Teresa2, and I'll put it on the screen here and in the description box below, along with a link to the page to sign up for the subscription if you're interested. The coupon code will save you $2 off your first box if you sign up. I have got I don't know if I've got all this on the screen here. I've got the 4mm finely faceted hematite man-made AB round beads here. I've got the 4mm brass corrugated bicone spacer beads. I've got the 8mm black agate dyed and heated round beads. I've got the 10mm crystal faceted barrel beads in jet. I've got some bead caps from my stash. I've got the 37 by 21mm black agate dyed faceted teardrop pendant. I've got some findings here from my stash. Well, the chain is from the box. I've got some. They're about four. There's 4 pieces of about 4 inches each chain that came in the box, and I cut them into 4-inch pieces. I've got some jump rings and a lobster clasp and an extender chain, and I've got a ball head pin and one of the little 4mm beads I'm going to do as a dangle off of the extender chain. And I got 2 2x2 crimp tubes and 2 wire guardians. I think that's everything that's in there. In here, I mean, what are you going to do? These little charms, they're just crying out to be made into a pair of earrings to go with this pendant, so I just had to do that. These are the 2 17.5 by 13mm onyx dyed and brass faceted teardrop charms. And then I've got some of the other beads that are going to be like in the necklace, and a couple of lever back ear wires and a couple of eye pins in there. I've got some pieces of 22 gauge bead-alon German style wire that I'm going to do some wrapped loops. The crimp tubes I use are bead-alon. I've got my soft flex beading wire. This is in fine and it's in champagne. It's 19 strand, 0.14 inch diameter. Of course, you can use any bead stringing wire you want to. This is my German style wire that I'm using. I have my bead stopper. I have my chain nose pliers and my round nose pliers. I got the round nose pliers from BB Craft many years ago. I've got my tweezer pliers. They're Zuron, and I've got my crimping pliers. They're bead-alon. I've got both pairs of my bent chain nose pliers. These I got from BB Craft years ago, and these are Zuron. These are the very sharp 90-degree angle ones. Zuron has some that are more like this, though, and I'll try to put links to everything I'm using in the description box if I can find them, and I'll put a link to the Zuron ones that are more like this in case you'd rather look at those. I've got both pairs of my cutters. They're Zuron. I use one pair for bead stringing wire, and I use the other pair to cut head pins and eye pins and craft wire and things like that. I've got my little New Orleans shot glass that I'm going to put my little pieces of wire in when I get them cut off. I think that's everything. So let me get some of this out of the way and I'll be back. Okay, I've got my beads all poured out in here in a big mess like I do. And this first part is just going to be some stringing. I've still got my beading wire attached to my spool because I always do that when I know what my design is going to be. I'm going to try to make a multi-strand necklace, a 2-strand necklace, and I've told y'all before I've not ever made very many multi-strand necklaces, and this is even different than the ones that I have made, so I don't know if this is going to turn out or not, but we'll see, I guess. So I'm going to start with a 4mm bead, and then a little bicone spacer, and then an 8mm and a bicone spacer, and a 4mm, a spacer, and I'm going to do that all the way down through here until I've got 6 of my 8mm beads. So I'm just going to alternate between 8mm beads and 4mm beads with bicone spacers between all of them. I've been playing with this box all day. I had one made and videoed and everything, and then I decided I didn't like it, so I cut it all apart. I have trying to get some of these things done because I've told y'all before I have a little part-time job I do from home. I'm retired, but I have a little part-time job I do from home to try to make ends meet, and it's just cyclical. It's not all the time, but whenever it is busy, it's really busy, and March is one of the months that's really busy, and they've been wanting me to do stuff, and I don't want to do stuff. I want to do this stuff. Of course, I need to do work stuff because I don't get paid if I don't do work stuff. They don't just pay me because they like me. I don't even know if they like me, but they want me to do stuff for money, so I have to. I only get paid by the job. They don't just pay me, you know. Okay, I think I've got 6 here. Yeah. Now I'm going to put a bead cap and my barrel bead and a bead cap. And that's what I've got so far. And now I'm going to go back and do the exact same thing on this other side. And we'll see if I have enough beads when I end up here. That's another reason why I like to count them out. That way when I get to the end, if I've missed a spacer or put in one too many spacers or something, I know that I've done something wrong, and I can go back and see what I've done wrong. If I have to stop here real quick, I'll tell y'all I've got my phone on mute. I always put my phone on mute when I'm doing this, but I'm watching it in case it rings because I've had to call my husband's doctor. He's very bad diabetic, and we went to see the endocrinologist the other day for the first time. And he's always just been taken care of by his primary care doctor, but they've been wanting him to go to an endocrinologist for years, but we just never were able to because he didn't have any good insurance that would cover it. But now he's got better insurance, so we went, and he changed his insulin around, and the last couple of nights his his sugar has dropped really, 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 like dangerously low. And he's, of course, feeling bad because of it, so he's laying down, and I've called the doctor's office to see if we need to adjust it differently because apparently this new insulin is dropping it too low. So I'm watching my phone in case he calls. I think I've strung this up right. It looks like I'm going to have the right amount of beads when I get down here to the end. Yeah. Okay. And that's what I've got. And that's going to be my inside strand, I think, if this works out. So now I'm going to crimp. Come on, get my camera not to blur there. So I'll put on my crimp tube and my wire guardian, and go down the other side of my crimp tube, the other channel, and go back through my crimp tube. Make sure to keep my wires from being crossed, because if your wires are crossed, your crimp is more likely to fail. I'm going to squish my wire guardian in just a little bit there. I'm going to take my crimp tube and I'm going to go in the second part here that's got the little circular part on one side and the little notch on the other side. I'm going to lay my crimp in there. Pull it up here where there's no wire sticking out at the top here. Try to hold my wires apart. I'm going to squeeze. I'm going to turn it. And I don't believe that. Yeah, I did. It started to say that didn't work right, but I believe it did. It puts each little wire in its own little channel there. Now I'm going to go into the end part there that's just got a little circular part on each side. I'm going to lay my crimp in there, and I'm going to fold my crimp. I'm going to tug. Okay, that's good. Now I'm going to cut off my extra wire. I'm going to cut it off my spool, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Put my crimp on. Put my wire guardian on. Put it back through my other channel of my wire guardian and back through my crimp tube. And I always try to go through a bead or two on this side, because it's harder to crimp on this side because the beads are in the way and everything. And if I can get it back through a bead or two, I can at least get my hands out of the way. And try to keep my wire from getting crossed. Tuck my little wire guardian in a little bit there. Just hold on to the wire guardian and pull the wire through. And I don't want there to be any slack, but I want it to still be, I don't want it to be too tight or it won't drape well. It needs to have room to move. I need about 4 more hands to do this part. Especially when you're trying to make sure your wires are not crossed. And I'm going to do like I did on the other side. I'm going to go into that second part of the crimping pliers. Squeeze. Turn it around. Go into the first part. Squeeze and fold my crimp. There, that's good. Now I'm going to cut off my extra wire. And that's what I've got so far, and that's going to be my inside strand. Now I'll get my stuff together to make my outside strand. And I'll be back. Okay, now I'm going to take my pieces of wire here and I'm going to make some wrapped loops. So I'm going to take my tweezer pliers and I'm going to go down about these are about 4-inch pieces of wire. I'm going to go down about an inch, inch and a half there. And bend the wire over the pliers at a 90-degree angle. I'm going to take my round nose pliers and put them in the crook of the bend there. Bend the wire back until it hits the tool. Round nose pliers facing me. Rotate the round nose pliers until they're facing the table. Take the shorter piece of wire and bend it up under there till it hits the bottom of the tool. Cock it back until the loop is centered over the wire. And then take my bent chain nose pliers and before I wrap, I'm going to attach it to my pendant here. And I'm going to close my loop back. And then I'm going to hold on and try to hold on tight so my loop doesn't get out of shape. And I usually do this first part with my hands. I'm going to wrap it around about 3 times. I'm going to cut off the extra wire. Now I'm going to put a 4mm bead and a little bicone spacer bead, one of my 8mm beads, and a bicone spacer bead, and another 4mm bead. Now I'm going to take my pliers and go to the very tip of the pliers because I don't want a very long neck. I'm going to bend the wire over the pliers at a 90-degree angle. I'll take my round nose pliers and put them in the crook of the bend, round nose pliers facing me. I'm going to bend the wire back until it hits the bead. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Pull this wire under here like this until it hits the bottom of the tool. Cock it back until the loop is centered over the bead. And that usually sets the little wire, well, pointing way that way. Sometimes it's right straight up, but I'll take my bent chain nose pliers and I'm going to hold my loop really tight so it doesn't get out of shape. Now I'm going to take my other pair of bent chain nose pliers and I'm going to start wrapping. Kind of hard when that pendant is in the way down there, but I wanted to wrap it directly to it. I'm going to cut off the extra wire. I'll take my crimping pliers and I'm going to squish in my little burr that's left where I cut the wire. I just find that they work better for me because of that little rounded part at the end. Whenever I try to go in here and crimp or flatten down my little burrs with my flat pliers, I usually end up mangling my loop and everything. This one could be a little straighter. I'm going to straighten him up a little. Okay, now I'm going to take another piece of my wire and make my 90-degree bend. And take my round nose pliers facing me, bend the wire back till it hits the tool, rotate the pliers so they're facing the table, take the shorter piece of wire up until it hits the bottom of the tool, cock it back until the loop is centered over the wire, like that. Well, you can't see. Now I'm going to open my loop. Take the little one that I already made and thread it on here. Close my loop. Take my bent chain nose pliers. Hold on to my loop. Try to get a hold of it without that other getting in my way. I'm going to bend this, or wrap this around about 3 times. I'm going to cut off my extra wire. Now I'm going to take my bead cap and my barrel bead and my bead cap, and then I'm going to take my pliers, straighten my loop down here up. I'm going to go to the end of to the tip of my pliers. I think I forgot something. I think I was gonna, yeah. I left off something here. I had too many beads laying there. I want to put a 4mm bead on, and then my bead cap, and then my barrel bead, and then my bead cap, and another 4mm bead. Now I'm going to go to the tip of my pliers, bend the wire 90 degrees over the pliers, the round nose pliers in the crook of the bend, round nose pliers facing me, bend the wire back till it hits the bead, rotate the pliers till they're facing the table, take this piece back and bend it up under here until it's hitting the bottom of the tool, cock it back until it's centered, the loop is centered over the bead, take my bent chain nose pliers and my other bent chain nose pliers and start wrapping. So there's no more room to wrap. I'm going to take my cutters and cut my extra wire. I'm going to take my crimping pliers and squish in my little burrs that are left. And I wait until I get both loops made on each side, because something about the beads being on there and bracing against the beads helps me. If I try to squish in my little ends without any beads on there, I just end up mangling everything. So that's why I do that. And I'm going to take another piece of wire. I'm going to make my 90-degree bend. Take my round nose pliers facing me, bend the wire back till it hits the tool, rotate the pliers till they're facing the table, take the shorter piece of wire up and under until it hits the bottom of the tool, Cock it back until the loop is centered over the wire. I'm going to take my pliers and open my loop. Thread this one on here. Close my loop. Take my bent chain nose pliers. Hold on to my loop. Wrap my wire around about 3 times. Cut off the extra wire. We'll put a 4mm bead on and a little bicone spacer on and my 8mm on. If I can find the hole in it. There. And then another little bicone spacer and another little 4mm. Now I'm going to take my pliers, go to the end of the tip of my pliers, bend a 90-degree angle, put my round nose pliers in the crook of the bend, round nose pliers facing me, bend the wire back till it hits the bead, rotate the pliers till they're facing the table, take this part back and up and under until it hits the bottom of the tool, cock it back until the loop is centered over the bead, take my chain nose pliers, my other chain nose pliers, start making my wraps. So there's no more room to wrap. I'm gonna cut off my extra. Use my crimping pliers. Tuck in my little burrs. Okay. Now, my goal is to do something like this. I'm going to do the same thing on this other side. And then I'm going to try to put some chain down through here and attach them. That's what I'm going to try to do anyway. I don't know if this is going to work out or not. But I'm going to do this other side off camera just like I did this side. And then I'll be back. Okay, I've got my little beaded portions on either side of my pendant made. And I laid this sideways because I couldn't get it in the frame any other way. My idea is I'm going to take my little pieces of 4-inch chain here and put them there like that. And then connect these at the top up here. So I guess we'll see how this works. I'm going to take I've got a 4mm jump ring here. I'm going to open it. Hope that it doesn't jump out of my hand like they are likely to do. I'll put one side of my little necklace on here. And thread my piece of chain on here. Close it up. Just do the same thing on this other side. Well, I don't think that was the jump ring's fault. I think that was my fault. I just dropped it. Okay, now. Okay. Now I'm going to take this part up here and a couple of 6mm jump rings. And these are these big, thick 18 gauge jump rings, so I hope they go through this chain. Put my chain on here. Okay. And put this side of my necklace on here. And then I've got 2 more pieces of 4-inch pieces of chain I'm going to add here too. Should have got my thinner jump rings out. This would have been easier even if these do go through. There we go. Wouldn't have had to struggle with them as much if I had got my thinner gauge ones out. I just like to use the thicker gauge ones if I can, because I know they're not going to come loose. Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing on this other side. Inner strand and then my outer strand. There's a piece of my blanket or something that's by bead mat or something that's got in there. There. Now, this piece of chain. Close this one up. Now let's lay it out here and see how it's looking. I wanted the inner strand to hang quite a bit higher than the bottom strand, and I guess that's what I got. Okay, now I'm going to take my ends here. I'm going to take an 8mm jump ring. And hope it fits through my chain. There. And then my extender chain. And now I'm going to take my 6mm jump ring and my lobster clasp and put it on this side. Okay. Now, that's what I got. Now I'm going to get my stuff together here and make a little dangle to go on the end of the extender chain. Okay, now I'm going to make a little dangle to go on my extender chain. So I've got my little ball head pin here. I'm going to put my little 4mm bead on here. Take my pliers, go to the tip of my pliers, bend the pin over the pliers at a 90-degree angle. Take my round nose pliers, put them in the crook of the bend. Round nose pliers facing me. I'm going to bend the wire back till it hits the bead. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Bring the wire back and up in here, up and under the tool till it hits the bottom of the tool. Cock it back until the loop is centered over the bead. I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to open my loop and thread on the end of my extender chain. And I'm going to close my loop. If y'all hear that meowing, that means Lily has come in here to visit me. She's wanting some attention, I guess. Okay, now I'm going to take my other round bent chain nose pliers and I'm going to start wrapping. Gotta hold on tight. Just gonna wrap until no more room to wrap. Then I'm gonna cut off the extra wire. Take my crimping pliers and cut in my little, or tuck in my little burr that's left there. There's my little dangle. Now I'm going to get my stuff together and make a quick little pair of earrings. Okay, I'm going to take I've got an eye pin here. I'm going to put one of my 4mm beads on here and one of my bicone spacers and my 8mm bead and another bicone spacer and another 4mm. And to get to this to hang straight on my ear wire, I'm going to have to make this loop opposite the way, facing the opposite way from the loop that's already on there. So I'm going to go just a little bit above my bead so I don't crack my bead. Bend at a 90-degree angle. I'm going to cut off, leave about 1/4 of an inch of wire there, or pin. Hold on to this so that when you cut it off, it doesn't go flying. Lily wouldn't like it if I hit her in the head with it. She's in here right under my feet. Okay, I'm going to take my round nose pliers and go to the end and make sure it's flush there. There's no wire sticking out. And then I'm just going to roll back a loop. Make sure I get it closed really well. And now I'm going to take my pliers and open this loop here on the bottom. Find the right side that opens. Put my little charm on here. Make sure to get it closed up really well. Don't want our little charm coming out. And now I'm going to take my loop up here. Open it up. Put on my ear wire. And since they're double-sided, it doesn't matter which way I put it. There's a little earring. Simple, quick little earring. Now I'm going to make the other one off camera and I'll be back. Okay, I went and got a t-shirt and dressed up my little black display form so that I could hang this so you all could see how it hangs, because it's just one of those pieces that doesn't, you can't really tell until you see it hanging what it really looks like. And then the little earrings I've got up here on my little card. I'm going to have to get me a display that is not black. I don't have any of those and I need to get me some. This is the first kind of necklace I've made like this, but I guess it turned out okay. I hope you all enjoyed this video. As usual, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched my videos and liked and commented on my videos. I have a website where I sell my jewelry. It's Teresa's Handmade Jewelry, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below in case you're interested, along with a link to my Facebook and Instagram and my email. If you haven't, I'd really love it if you'd subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified the next time I upload a video. So until next time, I hope you all have a great day. Take care.